Mark, what's going on?
I'm flipping through this book looking for $6 of value.
Let me know if you find it. No absolute issues again this week, but don't worry, we'll make up for it next week when there's four.
Ugh.
Um, so we're gonna delve back into the latest KO tie-in and see whether it really should be called a tie-in. But we'll do that right after this. Before we get started, don't forget to make sure that you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, let us leave us a comment, let us know how we're doing, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you're alerted whenever we upload new content. Um, so, as we said, no absolute books, so we'll get back to those again next week. But we have a DCKO tie-in called Green Lantern Galactic Slam, and just like it sounds, see, I actually have seven. I'm looking for $7.
Yeah, you got a card stock. I didn't
Um,
have I didn't have the nerve to do such a thing.
yeah. So the first thing that I would tell you is that if you're looking for a tie-in, this is probably as loosely a tie-in as you could possibly have.
And what he's saying is this isn't the tie-in.
Right. There's a couple pages at the beginning before Kyle Rayner is whisked across the universe, and there's probably the very end, maybe the last two pages, where we see some of the reinforcements that Kyle. He's bringing the Omega Men. He's bringing Thanagarians. He's bringing all those type of people. So he's bringing those with him, and so maybe they'll show up somewhere. And he's also bringing Omega Bam Slam. So
Bandman.
that's probably the only tie-in that you'll find is the guy's first name is Omega. Um,
Good point.
yeah, but it has
The
nothing to
hidden
do with
point.
the Omega energy, at least as far as we know now. So we see Superboy, we see Green Lantern, we see some other people fighting some parademons at the beginning. Um, Kyle decides to go all White Lantern to try to take him out in one fell swoop. So he does that, and as soon as he does that, obviously it takes him a little while to recharge after he does that. But after he does that, he is suddenly taken through a portal to a place where he is basically dropped in the middle of a intergalactic wrestling match,
He got Goldberg speared through a boom tube and landed right in the middle of a match. That's hilarious.
hmm which is between. We'll come to find out is between Omega Man and
Mr. Scuzz.
Mr. Scuzz. And like you would assume, you get the. First of all, let me just for those of you who don't know, Jeremy Adams is a huge wrestling fan who writes this issue. He has posted before when he's been at like SmackDown and things like that in the Los Angeles area. So he's a huge wrestling fan, and he created. Though also, if those you don't know, this Omega Bam Man was created in when he was writing the Flash, in Flash number 787, I believe it says in here. So he had a team up with the Flash, um, and that's kind of where we saw him one other time. I think maybe it was in Flash 800, maybe
Maybe.
that we saw him with Jeremy Adams wrote something again. We saw him briefly, but this is really kind of only his second or third appearance in DC continuity. Um, but basically, what we do is we see this whole match. Omega Bam Man wins. They end up going to being transmitted to a place called the Hub, which is kind of like a central facility where it seems as though all of the wrestlers in what is called WAM, which is the Wrestling Federation, is basically housed, and we find out that basically the rules of this is that there is an all-seeing person, or whatever, an alter who basically um, makes the matches and kind of takes the two people and drops them somewhere. So there's a fight. And the fight can go on for days, weeks, months, however long it takes for the fight to end.
Yeah, no, Omega Bandman's a reigning champion.
Mhm.
And while they're in the hub walking around, it's kind of using this as a moment to kind of give us this is truly just Omega Bandman's issue. It shows you us where he comes from, what he does, the dynamic of this multiversal wrestling federation. And we meet his heel, his nemesis in the halls of the hub, where they're face to face talking trash. They're pretty much doing a shoot on each other right there in the halls. And it's pretty cool. And then that's pretty much it.
Right. Yeah. And like you said, we get an 8-page origin story of Omega Man, who basically think of a kid who basically loves Hulk Hogan so much that he basically wants to become Hulk Hogan. Um,
Some cool
and
context to it that he comes from an alien race that is like total pacifist, renounce any form of violence, and even when he showed a form of strength to help save some people in his town, they looked down on him for saving them because they didn't like that he even expressed that kind of strength or energy to even save them. So he like kind of self exiles and goes on to enlist in this wrestling stuff.
yep. Um, as Omega Man is bringing Kyle around the hub, he also tells him that because at one point he Kyle mentions the planet Oa, and he's like, "You can't say that here. You can't say that." So there is something that has happened at some point where it has become illegal to um, have a Green Lantern to mention the planet Oa, to go to the planet Oa. I think it's because and again, this is just my guess. I don't recall if they actually mentioned this, but they don't think that the Guardians of the Universe would be too keen to have them doing this. So they're
Yeah,
kind
it's
of
kind of
afraid of the Owens.
under the radar. Then we kind of get a little flash of him growing up through the ranks, and he kind of pretty much gets trained by his Hulk Hogan hero figure, goes under his wing, who was the reigning champ to the point of his reigning champ
Who is
hero
Bromega?
getting
Bromega,
Bro
I believe.
Mega getting absolutely bested and beaten and pretty much killed by the guy who's his current nemesis. So the guy beat his hero. He later beats that guy, and now they're still feuding.
Right. And so
Bro,
now there's
bro.
going the Brobo, right. And so now we're going to basically have another match with Omega Man, and Kyle's going to be his tag team partner, but he can't be Green Lantern because they don't allow Green Lanterns. So he basically puts up and he creates this costume. He gets called a couple of demeaning things for his name. Teeny Greeny was one of them, or something like that. He's like, "That's not my name." Every time they call him something else, he keeps saying, "Yeah, again, not my name." Um,
Compadre Verde.
yeah, exactly. Um, so they end up in this match. The Kyle says if he can somehow get to this AI that is basically running the hub and
The
is responsible
matchmaker.
for the matchmaker that's moving people all over the place, he might be able to disable it and get this thing to or to Earth or whatever, because he's trying to get back to Earth. If he can do that, he can maybe get to Earth, because it's also said that this would never actually go to Earth either. Um, so there's a fight between Bromega and Omega Man. Omega Man
Well, yeah, because
wins.
the big
Right,
reveal in the matchmaker hall, it's like a Wizard of Oz moment behind the
right.
face of the AI. Bro Mega is actually alive, and he's and the his nemesis, his biggest rival, who he thought were bad guys, are actually teamed up, and they're low key working for Dark Side,
Mhm.
not directly but indirectly to kind of just push and move things at the edge of the universe to keep it where it needs to be. They're pretty much acolytes of Dark Side, followers of his cause.
Correct. So the battle ensues, and in the middle of the battle, Kal-El is revealed to be a Green Lantern. Omega Man wins. However, there is a stipulation, and that is that no Green Lanterns are allowed to be involved in any of the activities. And so Omega Man is actually declared the loser. His belt is taken from him, and he basically is no longer. He's not allowed to wrestle anymore. And so um, Kyle says, "Well, you can come with me." At the same time that's happening, he also has managed to make contact with the Thanagarians and the Omega Man, and all of these other the Tamaranians, and basically all of them are now coming to assist Earth in battling Darkseid. And
Yeah,
that's
because
kind
that's where it all started on Earth, fighting back parademons on the surface. Because if you're reading Teen Titans, you know, like all the heroes are in Earth, the Titans are on the crust,
of,
fighting with some dark side minions and stuff as they're terraforming Earth. So big battle shaping up out there.
absolutely. And I can only imagine now that we're going to see Omega Batman in the pages of Green Lantern somehow, helping however he can to help battle against Darkseid. But Green Lantern is not even a tie-in necessarily. So we'll see how that works.
You know,
Um,
like in all the big events, you have that rallying moment where all hope seems lost.
mhm.
And the core comes flying in mass number. You kind of get to see the setup of that's on the way kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I get it, but I don't know. For it being our only KO book of the week, you know, you just kind of want a little bit bigger of a punch. Omega Bandman is a fun character, but
Mhm.
never a character that I personally want to spend $6 and 30 minutes on. Like he's great as an additional character in a book, but
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, and I agree. And I've said this before. I don't know if it's here or on at Week's End or wherever it happens to be, but I'm not a big fan of just, slopping some trade dress on something, just because it's mentioned once or twice in the issue. It should really be a tie into that particular issue because otherwise you end up with, 27, 28 different tie-ins every single month.
And I know
Uh,
you and we're going to get this book whether it's a KO tie-in or not, because
right.
like it's a Green Lantern book. But there's a lot of more casual readers than us because we're not really too casual. You know, we read a lot.
Hmm.
And if you have people that are coming in this big influx of fans trying out DC and they're wanting to get into this event, you're going to sour them on the tie-ins. And then they're not going to pick up the 1v1s from Fight Month.
Hmm.
They might miss out on the stuff that matters like that Arc M special and the Absolute line. Like
Hmm.
the annuals and tie-ins can matter and are supposed to matter. So doing stuff like this or trade dressing Aquaman like they did,
Yeah.
then when it was just the next issue of Aquaman, it was a great issue, but
Yeah.
it wasn't a KO tie-in.
Right.
You can't do that.
Exactly.
That's just not fair to do to customers.
Yep. Exactly. Truth in advertising. That's what it's
Mhm.
got to be. So,
Yeah,
um, so yeah, I mean, it wasn't a great issue. It wasn't the worst thing I've ever read, but it wasn't necessarily great. And again, it really, you don't really need to read this at all to understand
at
anything that's
all.
going on in KO. So,
Even if you're keeping up with Green Lantern, you don't need
right,
to read this at
right,
all.
exactly, exactly. But we'll be back next week. Like I said, we're gonna have 4 different absolute issues next
That's
week.
a lot. Good
That is
gosh,
a
they
lot.
need to get it together.
Hmm.
There's
Yeah,
6 absolute books. We shouldn't go a single week without one.
right, exactly, exactly. We'll get the second part of the Wonder Woman Batman crossover next week. That's one of them. We have Green Lantern, we have Superman, and I want to say Martian Manhunter, I believe.
Well,
So,
we can reduce it to 3 real easy.
um, but I'm just spitballing. I don't know if those are the I think those are the 4 that we have next week. But
Sounds good to me.
yeah. But that's going to be it for this edition of DC Comics Deep Dive. Don't forget again to like, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget the notification bell so you're alerted whenever we upload new content. Tell us how we're doing. Um, but as I said, that's it. I am Paul. He is Mark,
But we are Legion.
and you're now leaving Sector 2815.